I used to be wary of carbon wheels. It wasn't until recently that I decided to give them a try. When I put together the Diamondback Podium, I wanted it to be as light and aerodynamic as possible, so I spent a small fortune on a set of Vision 55mm deep section wheels. I used to be even more wary of cheap carbon wheels, but I had such good luck with the expensive ones, I thought I'd give it a shot. I upped my health insurance coverage and I bought a set of cheap carbon wheels. Both are made by Superteam and they are their bottom tier carbon wheel, but it turns out they've been really good wheels. So when Superteam reached out and asked if I wanted to review a set of their high-end H2 carbon wheels, I figured it was probably a scam, but I went ahead and broke the first rule of YouTube Club. I gave them my address anyway. You can imagine my surprise when, about a month later, these showed up at the door. In exchange for showing these in a video and a review, I get to keep them. My gravel bike is quick on dirt, but get it on pavement, it feels like it's dragging a parachute. It's not as fast as I think it should be, and not nearly as much fun to ride on the road as my real road bikes are. So I've got this nice set of Superteam carbon wheels to review, and I've got a gravel bike that's not that great on the road. That's made me wonder, could I make that gravel bike just as good as a real road bike? Simply by fitting a set of road wheels and tires. So in today's video, we're going to explore that. We're going to fit a set of road wheels and tires to my gravel bike, and then I'm going to take it out and ride it back to back with my road bike and see how it compares. What I'd really like to know is, can I just own a gravel bike and have it be just as good as a road bike simply by swapping a set of wheels? So if you're interested in that, let's get started. I'm going to install these wheels on my macadam gravel bike. I think they'll look better on that bike than they would look on my Chumba. These wheels that Superteam sent, they call these their all-carbon Ultra H2 carbon road wheels. They've got a carbon rim, carbon spokes, titanium nipples. It's got a 54-tooth ratchet in the rear and then aluminum hubs. The set I got is set up for through axles, but they did offer a quick release option. I don't have any frames left that are quick release discs, so I went with the through axle. When I first pulled these out of the box, my initial impression is that they're a really nice quality wheel. They're surprisingly light and they appear to be well made. The rim surface, it's got a nice matte finish and it's actually raw carbon. It's not painted. And then the spokes, the carbon spokes, they're just kind of cool. Now I can't be 100% certain, but I suspect these are what they used when they made the music for the movie Psycho. One thing I found comical is that they went to all the effort to make these wheels lightweight. They used titanium spokes, but then they shipped it with a cassette spacer that is like the cheapest one they could get. It weighs about 9 grams, stamped steel with zinc plating. For what these wheels cost, I'd rather they either not include this or they put one in that goes with the quality of the rest of the wheel. The inner width of these wheels measures out at 23.9 millimeters, so they're probably 24 inside the hook. The external width is 30.5, so they're quite wide. I plan to run a set of 28 millimeter tires. It'll be interesting to see how wide those actually measure out once they're fitted. The free hub mechanism on these wheels, it's really easy to access. That'll be great for maintenance. It uses a 54-tooth ratchet. A downside to these, or maybe an upside depending on your viewpoint, is that they are obnoxiously loud. Other cyclists are going to know you're coming up behind them, and pedestrians, they're going to dive for the bushes. These wheels use a sealed cartridge type bearing in the hubs. They're all marked ceramic, which is nice to see. I suspect these are an off-the-shelf type bearing, but they're not stamped with a typical trade number. Instead, they've got a long part number that reminds me of the numbers Enduro uses. I'll see if I can look these numbers up and find out what the bearing actually is. These wheels are rated tubeless, so you can run them with tubeless tires. Another thing I don't like about them though is that the rim tape they used, it's not a very good rim tape. It's actually already peeling off. You can see that. Both wheels are doing the same thing. I've pushed that down a dozen times, it just keeps lifting off. So if you were going to run these tubeless, you should probably plan on retaping them. For what these wheels cost, I would expect that they would use a higher quality tape, and I wouldn't have to worry about them pilling up or putting new tape on them. I used to be a big fan of tubeless tires, and I've got them on several of my road bikes. Unfortunately, the last few times I've needed tubeless to do what tubeless does, they've let me down. So instead of running tubeless on this bike, I'm going to run traditional tires and TPU tubes. I really like these TPU tubes. They're incredibly light, they don't lose a lot of air between rides, and they ride just as good as butyl tubes. Best yet, they are considerably cheaper than running a tubeless setup. The tires I'm using, these are Continental GP5000s. These are kind of the gold standard road bike tire. Every review I've seen that reviews these, they come out on top. I didn't have any trouble fitting the tires on the rim. They fit on without using tools or without breaking my thumbs. That bodes well for doing a tire change roadside without carrying levers. With the tires at 70 psi, I'm getting a width of about 28.5 millimeters on these wheels. So before I fit these wheels and I get out and ride, I kind of want to see what they weigh. So I weighed each wheel and I did it fully assembled. The gravel wheels, they weighed in at 1,573 grams for the front and 1,920 grams for the rear, or a total of about 3,493 grams. The new road wheels, they were quite a bit lighter. Those weighed in at 1,000 grams for the front wheel and 1,397 grams for the rear, or just under 2,400 grams for the pair. So the road wheels are about 1,100 grams lighter than the gravel wheels. That's about 2.4 pounds if you don't do grams. I want to see if these road wheels actually perform any better on the bike. To do that, I planned out a route. I picked one that had a lot of straight sections and minimal stops, but I also picked one that had some climbing. I'm going to do 3 rides. I'm going to ride it first on the gravel wheels, then I'm going to do the road wheels, and then I'm going to do it on my actual road bike. What I want to do is compare the average speeds and heart rates for each of those rides. We'll see if the road wheels are faster or if they require less effort. I wanted to do these 3 rides back to back to back, so I watched the weather and I looked for 3 days that would be the same. I was supposed to have that this week, so I took the gravel tires out and it was sunny, warm, and calm. When I took the road tires out, the weather had changed, it was gloomy, it was really windy, and I wasn't even able to do the 3rd ride. On the 3rd day, it snowed, and I don't want to take my nice road bike out and get it wet. I also don't think I could put down the same effort if I was riding on wet roads. I just got back from my first ride on those new wheels. It's not a great day to get out and try some new wheels. There's an 18-mile-an-hour wind blowing in from the east, and the riding was just miserable. Aero wheels, I was blown all over the road. But that being said, I really like these wheels. They're fast, they're smooth, they're responsive, and they climb quite well. I'm really surprised with how much better the bike feels. It does feel like a road bike. Here's how the 2 rides went. Keep in mind that the 2nd day, the ride with the road wheels, it was windy as all get out, and we probably can't compare these 2, but we're going to do it anyway. On the gravel wheels, I averaged 17.6 miles an hour. I had an average heart rate of 164 and a max heart rate of 185 beats per minute. On the road wheels, my average speed was higher. I averaged 18.2 miles an hour at 160 beats per minute with a max heart rate of 179. One could draw the conclusion that the road wheels, they were both faster and required less effort. If you're not familiar with effort and heart rate, at 164 beats a minute, if you and I were riding together, I wouldn't be able to carry on a conversation, at least without long pauses in between words. So did installing road wheels on my gravel bike turn it into a real road bike? Surprisingly, I think it did. These wheels have transformed the way the bike feels when I ride it on pavement. If I could only have one bike and I was into gravel, I would totally buy a gravel bike and then buy a separate set of wheels. You don't need a set of really expensive wheels like these are. I think any road wheel with a good road tire is going to make a difference. Superteam sent me these wheels unsolicited, and I hadn't done any research on them, so I didn't know how much they cost. I went to Superteam's website to take a look, and oh my, did my jaw hit the floor. They want $1,100 for this wheel set. Actually, it looks like they're on sale. They want $1,000 for this wheel set. I thought that was crazy, so I went and looked for other wheels with the same spec. I went to Elite Wheels. They're kind of a competitor to Superteam. Even they wanted $1,500. So after I picked my jaw up off the floor, I kind of had to reevaluate my expectation on price for these wheels. I guess at $1,000, that's not so bad. So would I recommend these wheels? Yeah, I would. They're a nice quality wheel. They seem to perform well and they look good. Would I buy them personally? No, probably not. I'm not the kind of guy who spends $1,000 on a new set of wheels, especially from a company that I don't have a lot of familiarity with. If I was in the market for a set of wheels like this, I would get on eBay and I'd look for a set of used wheels from a name brand. Should you buy them? It's kinda up to you. If you're the kind of person that doesn't mind spending $1,000 on a wheel set, for what you get a lot of wheel for your money here. I think you'd be happy with them. This is the first video I made that contains sponsored content. I'll admit, it makes me feel a little bit like a sellout. I want to know what you guys think. Did I do an alright job with it, or do you feel like you wanted to hit that unsubscribe button the second you saw that sponsored content label? I also want to know what you guys think about the wheels. Would you spend $1,000 for these wheels? Do you think they're worth it? And I want to know, what do you think about having one bike with two wheels? Do you think that's better than having a dedicated gravel and road bike? I uploaded both of the rides where I test each wheel set to Strava. If you want to dig into those, really look at the metrics, you'll find links to each one in the description below. I've also included a link down there for Superteam's website to these specific wheels. I'm uploading this video around the first week, March 2026. So the prices you saw on the website, they're probably not going to be accurate if you're looking at this much in the future. That link to their website, it's not an affiliate link, so I don't get anything if you click on it. Click it will. So that's it for today's video. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.